I'm sorry, but this is the definition of cookie cutter filmmaking. Chase Liaki here is the Blue Futon reviewing Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, which, what is the Child of Fire? So what's it about? Pretty simple parents. We have a girl that's kind of like hooded up, right? She's like, I'm just gonna be on this planet all by myself. But then all of a sudden, spaceships come and she's like, oh no, I know who those are. But the town people are kind of just like more naive and they're like, oh no, we'll give you the grain. We'll give you the grain. And the guy's like, whack, whack, whack. And the town folks are like, now we need to fight that big spaceship. And now this girl and this other guy are now going through the galaxy to find these people to build an army. And that happens in about 2 hours and 11 minutes. Like I said, this is a part 1 of part 2. And this movie is so piss poorly managed. Okay, the problem I have with this movie is when you come out with this movie that's PG-13, and then right when it releases, you're like, I got an extended cut that's gonna be so much R-rated with so much more boobies, violence, gore, and it's supposed to be like an hour more. That's the problem with Zack Snyder with Batman v Superman, The Watchmen, where just make one big cut. I know you want to make this PG-13, but you know what? When I watched this movie, there was so much going on with such one-dimensional characters that none of them were fleshed out. Even the main girl, you get some of her like backstory of joining the army, then seeing a girl that could like make birds come back from the dead, but it doesn't go anywhere. Yes, I know it's part 1 and part 2, but it just is so mismanaged. Especially like there's these eels that randomly surround the bad guy. He's like, oh, then it cuts to something else. You're just like, what's going on? And just the cuts. The editing was not good in this film. When talking about the positives, I do think it is a mixed bag of good imagery. Honestly, I don't know how this made the short list for Oscars, but some does look good. Especially there's this weird, like, you could call it Pirates of the Caribbean, which even though Pirates of the Caribbean came out like 15 years ago, that looks way better than this. Don't know how Gore Verbinski did it and how old Disney did it, but they need to bring that shit back. But like that looked good. But then there's one where the spaceship's flying, you're in these weird like tower planets. You're just like, what does this? What are those? That's what all I could think when I was watching that part of the show. But yeah, I think the problem is this movie is so mismanaged that even though there's a lot of characters, I don't know what I was supposed to get from them. You get an intro to each one, like this guy that can fly a bird creature, and then you have this guy or this girl that has the swords, and you have, okay, I understand that. I understand she's flying a spider. He's flying that person. She has the gun, even though the gun, you don't really see why it's so important, but it's there. It is so much thrown at you. And it, like I said, it's edited in a way where the pacing is just off the charts, where it's like the 2 hours, it zooms by. But when the credits roll, you're like, I didn't understand what we're supposed to do. If this movie is no shit about trying to build an army to help this grain world, I don't know who the real bad guy is. I don't know. Is it apparently supposed to be this girl's father? But you don't see that until really the very end of what it's supposed to happen and why she is so important. You don't get that. Yes, she's a badass killer, but is there anything else? I don't know if there's anything else because this movie doesn't tell you that there's anything else. And that's what my frustration is, that you come at us saying, watch this movie, but there's about to be an R-rated cut with a lot more information. Why would I want to watch this PG-13 version? Did I have fun with this movie? Yes. Some slow-mo was good. Some cinematography was good, even though some of the cinematography, you could say, you know what, it's actually CG. So it's actually visual effects or cinematography. Oh, and the robot. What the fuck is up with this robot on the island where he's like, he helps? And all of a sudden, like, he has these antlers at the very end. What is that? What is that? There's so much that it was overwhelming. I didn't mind the pacing, but my God, so much going on. I got nothing for any of the characters. I need to see this R-rated one. There's no way this R-rated one is worse than the PG-13 one, right? Right? So overall, Rebel Moon Part 1, it is scatterbrained. Yes, there's some great CGI, some piss poor CGI. There's okay acting, but there's not enough screen time for any of these characters to really just punch out of the screen. It's just not there. Editing, I did not like the editing whatsoever. The movie is just so scatterbrained. It is hard for anyone to really like this unless you are a Snyder stan. And honestly, Army of the Dead might actually be worse. I fucking hate it. God, they're both bad. They both have horrible decisions with the characters. Jeez. So Rubber Moon, Part 1, A Child of Fire, will receive a 2 out of 5 with Futons, which equals at 40%. Let's see what the critics' news scores gave this one. Rebel Moon, Part 1, A Child of Fire, 24% with the critics. God damn, 157 of them. Audience score 61% with 5,000. Critic consensus. Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire proves Zack Snyder hasn't lost his visual flair, but eye candy isn't enough to offset the storyline made up of various sci-fi fantasy tropes. Sure, but so much is at you, and I just couldn't suck it all in. 40, 24, 61. Chase Hawk here with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you think it's Booftopia. You Booftoners, thanks for watching. Have a great day. And I don't care watch this tape tomorrow, week from now, month from now, year from now, every single freaking one of you. And so, give me the R-rated cut. I kind of want to watch it now.